They once featured 5 All-Stars in their starting lineup. They were more lethal offensively than Shaq on low block. They won 15 straight playoff games in dominant fashion. The prime Golden State Warriors were a literal force to be reckoned with. But were they actually as good as we remember them, or have we seen better in NBA history? The Warriors super team shattered so many NBA records you've probably never even heard of. See, if you're like most avid NBA fans, you probably think of Jordan's Bulls, Magic's Lakers, or Bird's Celtics as the most dominant NBA team ever. But let me tell you that you couldn't be further from the truth, because there was one team that came out of nowhere and created the most unstoppable, high-powered offense that every other team in the league had no answer for. Here's the deal. This team had one of the highest point differentials in not just the NBA, but in all of sports. And they were even more physically imposing defensively, holding one of the best offenses ever to just 34% shooting and 20 turnovers in an NBA Finals game. And put together the greatest 3-year stretch of basketball ever, winning an impossible 207 games through 3 seasons. They shattered the NBA record for an average margin victory throughout a single postseason with 16.3. But the biggest and most unbelievable fact of them all, this team was this close to becoming the first team ever with a perfect 16-0 record through the entire playoffs, ultimately finishing 15-1, a new NBA record when the Dubs set it back in 2017. But my goodness, how did the Golden State Warriors even reach this level so quickly? Well, to really know how the Warriors held the NBA hostage for so many years, you have to understand how it all started. Let's go back to the summer of 2013. The Golden State Warriors were coming off a more than solid season, winning 47 games and taking the dynastic San Antonio Spurs led by Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Kawhi Leonard to a hard-fought 6-game series. Now, though the Warriors were still head and shoulders below a few other Western Conference powerhouses like San Antonio, Memphis, and Oklahoma City, the NBA knew they would soon be a force to be reckoned with once the young Steph, Klay, and Draymond would grow up a little more. In order for the Warriors to take that next step, they had to make some changes, none bigger than the Andre Iguodala signing in July that went largely unnoticed at the time. Though the only notable move they made was bringing Iggy on board, they felt that they were in a good spot. Remember, at this point, Steph Curry was still thought of as injury-prone and frail, which is why health was the biggest factor in whether or not the Warriors would make any noise. So, in came the 2013-14 season. The Warriors hit the season with momentum and carried that energy throughout most of the season, winning an impressive 51 games. Steph Curry had his best season as a pro, averaging 24 points and 9 assists on a scorching hot 42% from 3. Not far behind Steph was veteran big man David Lee, who averaged a more than solid 18 points per game. And to round it off, 23-year-old Klay Thompson also broke out, averaging 18 points on 42% shooting, officially cementing the Warriors as the best backcourt in the NBA and already the greatest shooting backcourt of all time. While all of this was going on, the Warriors were really good on the court. Stephen Curry kept establishing himself as a star. Klay Thompson was having a superb season as a shooter and an on-ball defender. Andre Iguodala was a tremendous addition to the team from the offseason. David Lee played an excellent veteran role, and Draymond Green emerged as a valuable two-way asset. Andrew Bogut played 67 games, the most games he played in 5 years, and was a monster on defense. But despite their great success in the regular season, the Warriors didn't even make it as far in the postseason as they did a year earlier, losing to the Lob City LA Clippers as the CP3-Steph rivalry only grew louder. But what if I told you that this minor setback was destined to create the biggest and most unexpected comeback? What if I told you that this underwhelming finish to the season was the fire starter to a brand new era in the NBA? In the summer of 2014, the Warriors were in for some changes. Even though the rest of the NBA was salivating at the chance of landing free agent superstar LeBron James, the Warriors had other things in mind, beginning with the sudden firing of head coach Mark Jackson, though reports were rampant that Jackson had a long time falling out with the front office. In free agency, the Warriors made another under-the-radar move that would pay off big time later on, adding Sean Livingston to back up Steph Curry. And even though there were reports that the Warriors were interested in packaging Klay Thompson and David Lee to bring in all-star forward Kevin Love, the Warriors stood pat. In the 2014-15 season, the Warriors were all gas, no brakes, shocking the NBA with a 16-2 start to the season. Steve Kerr was the voice the team needed, as the Warriors became just the third team in the last 38 years joining the 72-win Bulls and 2010 Magic to rank in the top 2 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. They outscored their opponents by 11.4 points per 100 possessions, the 4th best mark of the last 38 years, trailing only the 72-win Bulls, the 1997 Bulls, and the 08 Celtics. Steph, the once injury-prone point guard turned league MVP, wrapped up one of the best individual seasons ever. Only 2 players at the time had averaged at least 23.5 points, 7.5 assists, and 2 steals while appearing in at least 70 games: MJ and Allen Iverson. Steph also had the highest true shooting percentage of any guard to attempt at least 1,000 shots and 300 free throws in a single season. This dude was a literal cheat code. And by the way, Andre Iguodala went from 6th man to a key cog in the system. But given how the past couple of seasons has ended, it was clearly all about the postseason. Would the Warriors be in for another postseason disappointment? Not a chance. In the postseason, Steph and Klay continued their chokehold on the league, but the difference maker was Draymond Green. Draymond posted one of the most complete playoff stat lines the league had ever seen. Just 2 other players have averaged 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 1 block through at least 15 postseason games: Larry Bird and LeBron James. After storing through New Orleans, Memphis, and Houston, the Warriors punched their ticket into the NBA Finals to face LeBron's Cavs. With Cleveland shorthanded, the Dubs took care of business in Cleveland in Game 6, clinching the 2015 NBA championship as Andre Iguodala secured the Finals MVP. So, after 67 wins, leading the best offense and one of the best defenses in the NBA and winning the title, the Warriors officially arrived as the next powerhouse of the NBA. But if you thought they couldn't get any better, the 2015-16 Warriors shattered even the most unbreakable records. This one is non-debatable. The Warriors changed the NBA more than any team has in a sport ever before. It's a mouthful to say, but it's the undeniable truth. During the 2015-16 season, the Golden State Warriors, led by Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, got up just over 1,500 three-pointers between the two of them and connected on an astounding 678 threes. That's more than a lot of teams can attempt in a season. My goodness. And that was when the NBA was still evolving to become the perimeter-focused league it is today. The Warriors kicked off the season with a bang with 24 straight wins. Even when they finally tasted defeat against the Bucks in December, they had already made history by claiming the best start to a season ever. They dominated both at home and on the road, setting a crazy 54-game winning streak at home and breaking their franchise record for road wins. The Dubs were practically unstoppable, going the entire regular season without back-to-back losses and avoiding defeats from the same team twice, which has never been seen before in NBA history. Steve Kerr was named Coach of the Year, while Steph bagged the MVP title for the 2nd consecutive season and is the first unanimous winner of the award in NBA history. And let's not forget the All-Star selection of Steph, Dre, and Klay, which made it the first time the Warriors had a trio in the All-Star game since 1976. In the playoffs, they set the NBA record for threes made in a playoff game against the Rockets, hitting 21 of 40, and went on to break the 1,000 three-pointers mark in a single season. After wiping out the Rockets and the Trailblazers in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, the Warriors set up a Western Conference Finals matchup against the Oklahoma City Thunder. After the Thunder handed the Dubs their first home playoff loss of the tournament, Golden State faced the dreaded 3-1 deficit. Well, cue the comeback of the century. Klay Thompson went supernova as Game 6 Klay was born, dropping a series-high 41 points and draining an NBA playoff record 11 threes. It was the second Splash Bro who saved the season. But in the end, they couldn't crown up the perfect season with the championship. Yet, that gave birth to another dynamic era in Golden State. In the summer of 2016, Kevin Durant shocked everyone by leaving the Oklahoma City Thunder to join the Golden State Warriors. It seemed unfair. The most explosive team of the decade just added one of the best players in the league. KD signed a 2-year deal, instantly turning the Warriors into a new powerhouse with 4 All-NBA players, practically guaranteeing them the 2017 NBA championship even before the season kicked off. As you might expect, the Warriors kicked off the 2016-17 regular season with force, and Steph Curry played his part by smashing the NBA record for most three-pointers in a game with a jaw-dropping 13 against the Pelicans in a 116-106 win in early November. And then, not to be outdone, Klay Thompson went off on the 5th of December, scoring a mind-blowing 60 points in just 29 minutes against the Pacers, becoming the first player to hit 60 in under half an hour of play. Steph, KD, Draymond, and Klay were all named to the 2017 NBA All-Star Game, making the Warriors only the 8th team in NBA history with 4 All-Stars. On the 10th of February 2017, Draymond Green recorded a triple-double unlike any other in NBA history. 12 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 steals, becoming the first player ever to pull off a triple-double with fewer than 10 points. Steph might have dialed it back a bit in the regular season, but come playoffs, he was on fire, averaging 28.1 points, 6.7 assists, and 6.2 rebounds, with shooting splits of 48, 42, and 90. Looking back on it, this team had assets for days, a perfect collection of pieces that fit. That defensive unit of KD, Klay, Draymond, and Iggy was like a fortress against modern NBA offenses. Their regular season record of 67-15 secured home court advantage throughout the 2017 playoffs. When the playoffs rolled around, Golden State made quick work in the first 2 rounds. In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against the San Antonio Spurs, Steph erupted for 40 points, including a clutch-tying three-pointer with 1 minute 48 seconds left, helping the Warriors rally from a 25-point hole to win 113-111. Steph's 36 points in Game 4 sealed the deal with a 129-115 victory, propelling the Warriors to the NBA Finals for the 3rd consecutive year and making history as the first team ever to start the playoffs at 12-0. The Warriors faced off against the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 3rd straight finals, with both teams winning 1 apiece of the previous 2. But this time, the Warriors were an entirely different monster. KD's 35 points per game throughout the series was the highest, and the Cavs just couldn't figure out how to contain him. And let's be real, trying to stop a 7-foot star who can shoot the lights out and drive to the hoop with finesse is a nightmare, especially when he's backed by an army of sharpshooters. The Warriors were a superior force with their dream team of 2 MVPs, 2 All-Stars, and a bench that could rival many team starters. In Game 5, KD dropped a whopping 39 points, shooting the lights out, securing his first NBA championship. KD's performance earned him the Finals MVP, and with a 129-120 win in Game 5, the Warriors claimed their 2nd title in 3 years. The Warriors secured the best winning percentage in NBA playoff history with a 16-1 record. They rolled through the regular season with a stunning 67-15 record, blew through the playoffs with a 16-1 run, coming oh so close to that elusive postseason sweep. When you watched them play, it felt like they were rewriting the rules of basketball. I mean, their offensive rating hit 115.6, a record at that time, and their defense was just as intimidating with a rating of 104. Klay, Steph, and KD all ranked in the top 16 in points per isolation possession among the 107 players who isolated at least 50 times. How on earth was anyone stopping that? During the 2017-18 season, the Warriors knew it was all about the playoffs as they coasted through the 82 games, focusing on the chance to win back-to-back titles. After taking down both the Spurs and the Pelicans with convincing series wins, they faced off against the top-seeded Houston Rockets in the Western Conference Finals. Things got intense when they found themselves down 3-2 against the Rockets after Game 5, but the Warriors bounced back and won the series 4-3, clinching the Western Conference title for the 4th straight year. Then came another final showdown against the Cavs. The Warriors showed their dominance throughout the series, even overcoming LeBron's offensive masterclass throughout the series with ease. The Dubs coasted to a 4-0 sweep against the mightily undermanned Cavs team, but in the end, the Warriors won their 2nd title. The following season, the Warriors were eyeing that elusive three-peat. Klay Thompson set the stage by breaking the three-pointer record in a game with a jaw-dropping 14 threes made. And with the Warriors this time was DeMarcus Cousins, joining in the offseason, giving them a ridiculous 5 All-Star players in the starting lineup. Is that unfair or what? On January 15th, 2019, against the Nuggets, the Warriors smashed a record with 51 points in the first quarter, with the Big Three combining for double-digit three-pointers made. When the postseason rolled around, the Warriors somehow hit an even higher ceiling when they lost KD to injury against the Rockets. In Game 6, with the Rockets facing elimination on their home court, Steph went off in the second half to punch Golden State's ticket into the Western Conference Finals. And that's when Steph would hit another dimension. Despite leading in Games 2, 3, and 4, the Trailblazers were swept by the Warriors, squandering double-digit leads each time. With a sweep against the Blazers, the Warriors secured their 5th consecutive NBA Finals berth, joining the Celtics in achieving this milestone. Steph surpassed Shaquille O'Neal for most points in a sweep with 146 points total through those 4 games. The Warriors' performance without their top scorer KD sparked debates about their dependency on him. While some argued they weren't a better team without him, the Warriors adapted their 2014 to 2016 style, playing faster and sharper basketball, cutting harder, and passing more. Aside from Steph, Draymond played the best basketball of his life with a playoff average of 14 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists per game, proving that the Warriors could play a different brand of basketball if they had to. Facing the Raptors in the NBA Finals, the Warriors were hampered with injuries. But given their winning pedigree, they were on the verge of forcing a Game 7 back in Oracle Arena had Clay not gone down with an ACL tear. Still, the Warriors from 2015 to 2019 pulled off 5 consecutive NBA Finals appearances, something this league has only seen once before, and that was from Bill Russell's Celtics in the 60s. Injuries may have stripped them of making a three-peat history, but the Dubs weren't down and out just yet. After injury-ravaged seasons in 2020 and 2021, the Warriors flipped a switch in 2022. They started the 2021-2022 season in red-hot form, fueled by Steph's exceptional play. They even went 18-3 to start the season. Despite Klay Thompson's absence, emerging talents like Jordan Poole and Andrew Wiggins stepped up big. Poole's performances earned him recognition, even topping the entire league in free throw percentage at 92.5%. Steph continued rewriting record books, becoming the all-time three-point leader, and despite battling injuries, his MVP-caliber play propelled the Warriors, securing a 3rd seed in the West. Before breaking the all-time three-point record, Steph dominated with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals while shooting 40% from 3 and 93% from the free throw line. In those 27 games, the Warriors boasted a stellar 22-5 record, with Steph dropping 4 40-plus point games, including a memorable 50-point performance against the Hawks. In the playoffs, the Warriors leaned on Klay Thompson's return against the Grizzlies, securing the series by Game 6 after Morant's injury. Jordan Poole shined too, scoring 30 points in multiple playoff games. Andrew Wiggins stepped up with a playoff career-high 27 points and 11 rebounds in Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals against the Mavericks. They might not have had the overwhelming talent like they had in the past, but these Warriors were proving to be just as scary. In the finals against the Celtics, Steph Curry unleashed an epic performance in Game 4 with the Warriors down 2-1, dropping a mind-blowing 43 points, including a clutch late three-pointer to even the series. Wiggins also notched 26 points and 13 rebounds in a crucial Game 5 win, while his lockdown defense on Tatum proved invaluable. Steph would follow up with 34 points in Game 6, including 6 three-pointers, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, leading the Charge to a resounding 103-90 victory, clinching another NBA championship for Golden State. Steph captured his first Bill Russell Finals MVP award, officially proving his naysayers dead wrong. The Dubs captured their 4th title in 8 seasons, capping off one of the most historic runs in NBA history. From breaking records, rewriting history, and changing the game, to boasting some of the most unfair collection of talent, the greatest shooter in NBA history at his peak, arguably the 2nd greatest shooter ever, a 7-foot monster, even all-star talents coming off the bench. The Warriors in their prime were a squad that no team in league history wanted to see. But now comes the million-dollar question. Was the Warriors' peak higher than MJ's Bulls, Russell's Celtics, Magic Lakers? Let us know.